Wingman Joker, thank you for listening to this channel and please support the channel. Please subscribe. Chapter 71. Lunch with Father. Theodore put down his fork and looked at Victor, who also had just finished his meal. I didn't want to tell you before you finished your meal, but it is now time for you to know the truth. It's about your fiancée Linda, said Theodore as he looked at his son with worried eyes. If you wanted to tell me that she is the one behind all the rumors, I already knew about that a long time ago, said Victor with a frown. Ah, well, I did intend to tell you about that, but there is something else, said Theodore with some hesitation. When George went to arrest Titus, he found her there. She was cheating on you, Theodore added as he took out Linda's ID and threw it on the table in front of Victor. What, that B*TCH. I already knew she was a slut, but I didn't expect her to cheat on me. We have to tell grandmother. I already told her, Theodore replied. She would annul the engagement now, right? Asked Victor, faking his expression. Canceling the engagement is impossible. Mother would never allow it. Even if Linda was the sluttiest woman in the world, you still need to marry her, Theodore said with a sigh. I just want you to use this information to blackmail her to stop the rumors and stop acting like a crazy bitch. Maybe we would be able to change her status from the main wife to a concubine. That would not be easy though, he said while squinting his eyes. You want me to keep that B*TCH? I kept silent despite her spending the last 4 years defaming me, and now you want me to swallow this, said Victor as he looked out of the room's window as if he was really upset. He tried his best to play the role. Victor was upset, but he knew that his family would never allow him to get rid of Linda. Family interest comes first, no matter what. After a couple of minutes, Victor took a deep breath, then looked at his father again as if he was willing to compromise. The B*TCH would deny any accusations. He said, it doesn't matter, she only needs to know that we know, we already have Titus in our hands. Your grandmother wants you to marry her ASAP. Victor frowned and began to ponder as if he was considering it. I need some time, he said, as he was thinking that it would be troublesome if his grandmother forced him to marry Linda. This development was beyond his expectations. It seems his grandma wants to finalize this marriage before Linda creates any more scandals. It seems he has to upgrade and awaken his bloodline fast. If he were to be forced to consummate the marriage before that, he might lose the chance to a higher-leveled bloodline. It's okay, she is enrolled at the elite academy too, so you might get to like her. And remember, try to get as many benefits as you can. Your grandmother has given you 6 months to finalize this, Theodore said. He said, before looking at his father with hatred in his eyes. But I need to ask about that Titus. How dare he touch my woman? I played along in the station, but what is his rank in the family, and why does he want to kill me? Would grandmother really punish him? Victor asked. Titus is the grandson of your grandmother's cousin. As for why he wants to kill you, I have a vague idea. He may have acquired the ceremony's results and wanted to get rid of you before they are announced. He may have feared that he would lose Linda to you, as your rank far outmatches his. And don't worry, he disobeyed my mother, and although he would keep his life, it will not be a happy one, Theodore said. Oh, and the ceremony's results will be announced 3 days later. I am sure your slutty fiancée will regret her little adventures when she hears that you have been granted an elite heir position. So make sure you use that to your advantage when you talk to her, he added as he laughed loudly. I will talk to her at school then and try to blackmail her, Victor said. Don't try to do anything funny to annul the engagement, Theodore looked at his son. And never disobey your grandmother. She has instructed me to educate you on some manners. It is to make you understand the importance of this marriage contract, Theodore added, before clearing his throat. Do you know about the Overseers Council? He asked. Isn't it the ruling council that sets and enforces the rules that govern players' behaviors? Our family holds a seat there, as far as I know, Victor answered. Yes, the council has 10 seats. 5 for the families, 3 for each of the major sects, 1 for the minor sects which they fight over every 10 years. And 1 seat for the Free Players Union, Theodore said. The council ensured an era of peace between the powers after its creation 500 years ago, he said, then took a deep breath. 20 years ago, there was a power shuffle. The top 2 families, who were keeping the balance, lost their position at the same time, and 2 minor families rose up to take the empty seats, Theodore said as he looked to the ceiling, thinking back to that time. Back then, the strongest of the families, the von Krona, had many internal disputes erupt after their old patriarch died. It led to them to exhaust most of their resources in a pointless power struggle. So they announced that they were going into hiding until the prophesied time of reckoning comes. It was a cover, as the truth was that they were afraid that their enemies would use the opportunity to destroy them. So all their bases and properties were abandoned one day and no one knew where they went. Theodore said. That must have created an imbalance in the council, said Victor, trying to appear wise. Exactly. The second most powerful family, the von Richter, decided that it had enough of the council's meddling in their affairs. Unlike other families, those guys were players from birth. So they considered all other families below them. As for the common people, they decided that those are just slaves for them to slaughter. Without the power of the von Krone curbing them, they announced that they will use all their powers to rule the world by force as that was their blood right. They launched war intending to take direct control of the states that surrounded their base. 2 countries fell in 1 week and all the minor powers living in there were given 2 choices, become our slaves or die. As for the normal people, many of them were sacrificed to complete some kind of blood weapon. The council members were afraid they would come next and decided to intervene with all of their power. They won and quickly used all their power to fabricate a tale of some brutal civil war to fool the public. That family no longer exists, and to this day, there is a hefty bounty on the heads of its members, if any still exists. Theodore said. And what would that have to do with my marriage? Victor asked stubbornly. The new order of the 5 families changed. We are ranked second now. And the most powerful family, the von Sway, just happened to be our mortal enemy, and they have been getting strong lately as a new young patriarch was elected, and he has a huge ambition. So the family has decided to have a union with one of the 2 weaker families. And those families were looking for a strong ally too, but were too afraid of being swallowed. Theodore said. Linda's family, the von Rosen, by chance, presented themselves as a suitable ally when Linda's mother made a deal with us. Do you understand now? This engagement is related to the family's survival. He asked while staring straight at his son's sad eyes. Ah, I see, can't we just transfer the contract to one of my brothers then? Big brother Mike won't mind her at all. Half of his concubines are former prostitutes. Victor asked in annoyance. No, if we proposed a groom change at this stage, they would argue that they have the right to choose, and they are already walking too close to the white faction lately. Theodore shook his head as he refused. White faction? Victor asked. The information about the factions was not complete in the family's archive, it was as if someone tried to erase them on purpose. Ah, you don't know. But considering your current rank in the family you should. Theodore said as he leaned on the table as if he was going to speak about some secret. The room was soundproof though. Our family has 3 main factions, the white, the gray, and the black. We use those code names to differentiate between them. The patriarch, your grandmother and their descendants including you by default belong to the gray faction. We are a moderate faction that wants to maintain the current status quo and only intervene in the secular world as a side power. We keep to our business and they keep to theirs. The white faction, that Titus and his father belong to, are expansionist. They want to use the family power to expand the family's influence by force. They are already creating criminal organizations all over the world. They are a light version of the von Richter family. Theodore spat with annoyance. What about the last faction? Victor asked. He knew nothing about those. They are called the Blacks because they want the family to hide like the von Krone. They want us to bide our time until the reckoning comes. That is just a legend. Who would believe that the world would one day get destroyed and engulfed in a mega dungeon just like that? That ancient oracle who prophesied this was a lunatic, who would believe him? Theodore said. Victor knew nothing about that last faction. If his predictions were correct, they may have separated from the family before the reckoning and avoided the massacre. There may have been some hidden survivors from his family back then. Father, I wanted to ask you to hand over Hilda to me. She is now my house manager, and it is not appropriate to keep her as your servant, Victor suddenly asked as Theodore stood up and was probably getting ready to go meet Luna. Ah, yes, give me your family token, Theodore asked as he reached for Victor's token and touched it with his before returning it. She is all yours now. Tell George to drive you home. I have some business to attend to, Theodore said as he left the room. Victor smiled as he shook his head. The look of his father acting like a little lover boy was very amusing. Now, he needs to get home and have a look at his spoils. Chapter 72, Plans Within Plans. The car was moving slowly through a busy city road as Victor silently looked at the scenery out of the window. He had a feeling that this was all a trap inside a trap. This game has more than 3 different powers intervening. Linda's problem needed to be solved somehow, and he didn't have many choices. According to his predictions, when she discovers his ceremony's results, she would definitely contact him and act all sweet and nice. In his previous life, he only met her at the academy a few weeks later. She acted like a cold princess. Not even allowing him to hold his hand, she told him that she would only marry a man who is strong and successful. She would only let him touch her on the wedding night. Linda, who acted as a virtuous girl back then, talked her way to delay the wedding for 2 years and succeeded after he went with her to beg the patriarch to delay the marriage. He was young and foolish. He held some feelings for Linda and believed that he could prove himself and make her love him. He couldn't have been more wrong. This B*TCH was spoiled and rotten to the bone. When the wedding time arrived, Linda, who didn't want to marry him, helped his enemies lead him into the trap which caused him to be kicked out of the family and rendered the marriage contract void. The engagement was broken and a new groom had to be chosen, and who would be better than Victor's cousin Bill, who was 1 year older and was also studying at the academy. And the prime candidate to be the future patriarch. Bill met Linda at the academy. He courted her in secret first, as he wanted this engagement for himself. He feared that if Victor got a connection to the Von Rosen, his position as the next patriarch would be given to his opponent, Victor's big brother, Mike. After they got rid of Victor, they announced to the world that they love each other. This was at least what was in the aftermath report Victor read. The truth is that the Von Rosens were never a free family, they were just a subordinate family to the Von Sway family. His family's nemesis. And their interest in a relationship with the Von Weiss family was just a trap to make one of their members infiltrate the family to reach a high position or create internal discord at the very least. They started working on this plan the moment they became council members with the help of their masters. They hid their traces so well that even his shrewd grandmother would defend them if anyone defamed them. The incident about Linda's mother, Amelia, asking for help was just a pretense for her to get close and offer the engagement, which was just a method to deliver their agent. Their plan almost failed when Victor turned out to be useless, so they quickly decided to change to another valuable heir. But to their dismay, his grandmother quickly refused the change. She would not risk upsetting the delicate family balance. Or maybe she just wanted to save face. What happened next, in his previous life, on Bill and Linda's wedding night was beyond everyone's expectations. Victor was not invited, but Arya, who was invited, told him what happened. According to her, the screen that was supposed to be used to deliver congratulations from all over the world suddenly turned on and played many scenes of Linda with another man. A different scene on every screen. The man's face was censored, so Arya didn't recognize him. Bill, who acted as an educated gentleman usually, was so mad he lost all reason and broke all the rules. He summoned his thin sword, cutting through the astonished Linda in one move, then getting killed by her mother's attack. Breaking all the ties between the two families and starting an enmity that only ended when the Von Rosens disappeared one night, when their entire mansion was replaced with an SSS-ranked dungeon. Back then, no one knew who put those videos and who was that man. The family predicted that it must be the Von Sway, their enemies, as Bill's drinks were found later to have been spiked. They might have seduced Linda to sleep with someone. Unfortunately, she was dead, and the truth disappeared forever with her. Today's events made Victor have a clear idea of what happened. Linda was just a spoiled pawn. And that man in the footage was Titus. And the true culprit was the one behind him, the third powerful family in the council, the Von Geldstadt. They must have made Titus approach Linda and charm her. He wouldn't be able to use the memory fabrication skill on her, as such skill only has momentary effects on players, and only works on mortals. Victor thinks that Titus might have presented Linda with some kind of artifact that was prepared by his masters. Then promised her some more things every time they met. It would make a little slut like her after some time. They must have wanted to use her to destabilize the Von Weiss family. But Titus's arrest was not something they expected. So they resorted to breaking the two families' ties in one move. This was all a dance between the two other families. The Von Weiss family was just the prey that they were eyeing. Fortunately, they didn't know about each other's schemes, or things would have been very dangerous. Right now, his position is not bad. He was still in the shadows as he was in prison when Titus's mansion got stolen, and the Von Geldstadt family, who was the true power behind the auction, would not be after him like they did in his previous life. Their target would probably be poor Baron. He couldn't tell his grandmother about those guys' scheme just yet, because he had no proof. And this union is very important to her. So he has multiple options right now. The first one would be marrying Linda, then finding a way to contain her. But that would be very dangerous. Equal to bringing a poisonous snake into your bed. He can use the recording to force her to be just a concubine though. Her mother would probably agree. But can he do that? He really hated Linda. He still remembers when she spat at him after he was kicked out of the family and went to ask for her help. She called him a beggar and let her bodyguards beat him. The second choice was his original plan after rebirth. It was to slowly gather evidence about the von Rosen family's plans and present it to the family. But thanks to Linda's stupidity, his grandmother wouldn't give him much time to implement it. The third choice is just to poison their entire family and be done with it. But this would be a dangerous choice, as he didn't have a high enough level yet to do the job, and even if he did it, after Linda's affair, he might be the prime suspect. The last choice is the most dangerous one. It is to weave an opposite plan where he would trap agents from all the opposing families. He would need a certain rare catalyst for this though, and getting that thing would be very hard. As he didn't know where it came from, he sighed softly while deciding to start by investigating the governor's mansion where Linda lives. But not tonight, as he was planning to spend the night with Lily. He missed her last night. Alex was not a good pillow, too stiff. He thought as he slowly turned his head to look at Alex, who seemed a little changed after his private conversation with George. She was acting a little more like a true butler, sitting in respect waiting for her young master's command. Victor wondered what George told her. "Do you need anything, young master?" Alex asked. "No, I was just wondering if it was possible to make you marry my fiancé instead of me. I am sure that you would make a good groom," Victor said while wondering what would happen if Linda tried to seduce Alex, who was now a little shocked by her little master's crazy question. "Young Master Victor, you must not joke about such topics. A gentleman would not reveal his wife's faults," George warned from the driver's seat. "Yeah, I know, I am just a little upset and wanted to joke with Alex," said Victor with a smile, making Alex breathe a sigh of relief. This was only a joke. But what would she do if he made her marry some woman someday? She wondered. It was late afternoon when they reached the mansion's gate, and the stupid guard who was busy on his phone quickly noticed them and opened the door when he saw George driving the car. He seemed to have recognized him. When the car stopped, Alex quickly got down and respectfully opened the door to Victor, like a true butler. "Not bad, take care Uncle George. And thanks for teaching this kid to me," said Victor as he stepped down. "That's my job, young master," said George with a smile, then he drove away, heading back to the restaurant. Ellipsis. The slap was not light. It sent the girl smashing into a vase. "I warned you not to get close to Titus before changing the marriage contract," yelled Amelia at her daughter Linda. "But I really liked him. He is a gentleman. He takes me to all those cool places where I can play, gamble, and..." "Shut up. Did anyone see you?" "No, I waited until they left to return home," Linda said. "Good. My sources told me that you instigated him to kill Victor, right? Next time, do your homework before acting." Victor was heavily guarded, it seems. Amelia said, "Titus told me that Victor's ceremony was a disaster, and his father sent him here as a punishment. So I didn't expect him to be guarded and survive," said Linda as she played with her crystal necklace. This was a charm-boosting artifact given by Titus. Too bad she can't get any more things from him again. "We have to focus on the future now. Bill has been transferred to Vane City, and will be attending the academy too," said Amelia slowly with a smile as she read some kind of document. "Ah, Bill is here," said Linda in excitement, forgetting all about poor Titus. "Bill is not just a gentleman, he is very handsome, and he always treats her like a princess when they meet. Yes, Bill is not a part of any factions, so we just need to pressure them to change the engagement. Thankfully you didn't sleep with that Titus. You must know that Bill is the jealous type," Amelia said. Linda nodded her head without saying anything. She couldn't tell her mother that she has been sleeping with Titus for the last 3 months. "You may leave now, and stay low for a while. I don't want anyone to know that you were hanging with that Titus," Amelia said as she sat down and returned to her papers. Linda quickly escaped the study. Without even glancing at the two maids, went in to clean up the broken vase on the ground. She didn't care about the wound on her cheek that was healing at a visible speed. She just didn't want her mother to know about her affairs and her missing ID. She was not sure if she dropped it somewhere or someone took it on purpose. She would probably be grounded for a week if her mother knew. Linda sighed as she headed to the basement. She can vent to her heart's content there. Chapter 73. New Toys. Just as Victor entered the mansion, he heard Lily's yell, "What?" and the sound of glass shattering. So he hurried with Alex into the living room, to see that Lily was standing there in astonishment as she looked at her phone while the twins pointed at something. The shattering sound was of the water glass that fell from her hand. She was so shocked that she didn't notice his entrance. When the twins noticed him, he had already walked behind Lily in silent, and was looking at the phone placed on the table. "Isn't that Tom? What is going on with him?" he asked, surprising Lily, who shook a little when hearing his voice, then slowly raised her beautiful eyes and looked at him in surprise. "Young master, welcome back," she said nervously as if she had done something wrong. "What happened?" he asked. Lily didn't answer, just lowered her head. Lily was just letting us know the truth about Tom. She had a recording where he was doing perverted things while peeping on a couple in bed. However, in the recording, we recognized the woman. And when we told Lily, she was very shocked. She screamed and dropped her glass to the ground, said Mina, who was a little anxious about Linda's affair, failing to notice Lily's eyes begging her to not say anything. "Oh, you mean Linda. Don't worry, I already know," Victor said casually, making the girls gasp in shock. "Ah, we didn't mean to look at it, young master, we will not tell anyone," said Mina, while being a little embarrassed. "Good, keep this a secret for now. Now go get a broom and remove all this shattered glass. Be careful to not get a cut," he said, then turned around to look at Alex, who was distracted looking at the phone that was still playing the recording. "Dear Alex, if you like those kind of things, I have an entire collection in my room. Feel free to take any and watch it, if you ever felt the need to," said Victor with a smirk as he took the phone, waking Alex up from her daze. "A collection of what?" She didn't get it. "Ah." Alex's face turned red as she looked away from the phone in shame. "It's okay, I won't need such things," she flustered said. "What a pervert," she thought. "Everyone, this is Alex. He will work at this mansion as my butler and bodyguard from now on. And don't worry, he is trustworthy," Victor introduced her, making the twins greet Alex with respect. Lily was still pointing her face to the ground as if she knew what awaited her. But she still gave Alex a quick glance. "Where is Hilda?" Victor asked. "Ah, Lily brought some girls, and Aunt Hilda is arranging them at the separate building," Mina said. "Good, now go do your job. Mana, you take Alex to see Hilda, let her arrange a room near mine for him. He must protect me at all times, and I can't let him be alone with you girls at the servants' building. Lily, follow me to my room," he said as he left the room, and Lily quickly followed after giving Alex a slight acknowledgement nod. Mina quickly left to get a broom, while Mana silently gestured at Alex to follow her. Ellipsis. "It seems that you already know what you did wrong," Victor, who was looking out of the window, asked Lily, who was standing in respect with her head lowered. She didn't answer. "You wanted to show the girls Tom's perverted side so that they may stop liking him, right?" he asked. Lily nodded silently. "I don't mind, but ask me next time before doing anything this stupid." Victor sighed as he said. This time her actions can be considered very beneficial to him, as he could still see that the girls were not sure. "I forgive you, so don't be anxious, okay?" he said as he slowly moved to her side and began to pet her silky hair. "Young master, I did one more thing without asking you permission," she said while keeping her head lowered. "What?" he asked softly. He didn't know why, but when seeing her like that, he couldn't get angry with her. "I promised the girls you asked me to save that you would never separate them," she said. "As I said, you must ask me about this stuff next time." He sighed as he said. "It's okay, your promise is as good as mine. Be careful from now on," he said as he looked at Lily's beautiful eyes as she turned her face slowly to also look at him. "Young master, you are so good to me," she said as she hugged him and rested her head on his chest. She never felt such warmth before knowing him. Her young master is a good man, despite being a little perverted. "Young master, I did another bad thing," Lily said softly as her face remained on his chest. "What now?" he asked. Her tune was somewhat mischievous this time, and he knew that this girl's sense of humor is a little twisted. Maybe it's his influence on her. Lily stretched her neck and whispered a few words in his ear, making Victor speechless. "Not bad, ask me next time," he said. "Now, where are my new toys?" he asked. "Ah, Mina has already told you, young master, they are in the separate building," Lily answered as she silently criticized her young master for calling the girls toys. "That's a little rude." Her thoughts were interrupted by a slap on the butt. "I meant the artifacts and weapons." "Dear Lily, you have a very dirty mind," said Victor, making Lily so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to drill into. They are in the basement, young master. She said embarrassingly. Good, I will go see those things. You go get the girls and Hilda, then wait for me in the dining room. He said, giving Lily another butt slap before heading downstairs toward the basement. Ellipsis. Baron was delayed. Just as he got into his car, Mason called him and asked him to go back into the police station to retrieve all the evidence, then bring it and meet him at the airport. Mason had no face to return to the station alone after the humiliation he suffered there. So Baron had to go and search for the files by himself because all the cops were sent on vacation. When he reached Titus' mansion late in the afternoon, he found it a deserted ruin full of piles of ash and bullet cases. He quickly used his phone to get some of his own men here. They would need another 3 hours to get here. He slowly made his way into the basement while cursing at George. Did he need to kill everyone? No signs of a break-in. The door was perfectly closed. So he slowly flicked the switch on the door according to the secret pattern, but nothing happened. He tried again. He was moving very fast earlier, because he was anxious, so he may have made a mistake. Still, it didn't open. The switch was broken. Baron's face turned ugly as he closely inspected the door, to find it tightly shut. Did anyone betray them? He took a deep breath and used his fist to strike the door. It gave in after 5 punches. The steel-reinforced door slowly fell to the floor, revealing the empty corridor behind it. Baron, who had a bad feeling, ran straight to the artifacts room to find that the vault was tightly closed. No signs of breaking or forced entry. He sighed in relief. No one knew the combination, and it needed a key that only he and Titus had. He approached it slowly, then unlocked it. Taking a deep breath, he opened it in one swing to be welcomed by a grenade explosion. A little goodbye gift from Lily and the girls. Chapter 74, The Girls. Victor looked at the cash bags that were stacked on the marble floor with a smile. Although he had a lot of money, all of his transactions are usually monitored by the family. These were different as he can use them outside for doing some hidden things when needed. The bags beside them were already emptied. There were about a dozen rifles and guns, 2 boxes of grenades, and 2 rocket launchers. In addition to a few ammo boxes. Not bad, he thought. Heavy assault weapons are usually hard to get from the family without a good reason, but with these, he would be able to secretly arm a private team. He was not here for those. He quickly looked around until he found several other bags that were carefully placed alone. He approached them and opened them slowly to reveal many treasures. Victor licked his lips as he started to take things out and sort them one by one. There were about 20 rare crafting materials, and 15 rare herbs. A silver herb grabbed his attention. This one he needed as a part of the recipe for the blood awakening liquid, so this was a pleasant surprise for him. Next were the artifacts. 3 attributes increasing rings, 1 wizard's robe, and 2 levitating necklaces. Nothing special, but he couldn't expect better as the precious items would usually be collected privately or saved to be sold at bigger auctions. Not a hidden one. The last pile of treasures contained the weapon artifacts. There were a total of 7 melee weapons. 2 swords, 3 daggers, a crossbow, a hammer, and a spear. All of them were B ranked except the spear and a dagger, which were A ranked artifact. The dagger had a paralyzing effect, so he would be keeping it for himself. Victor smiled as he grabbed the spear and weighed it in his hand. He has the spear arts skill book from the goblin's dungeon, but he already has the dagger throwing skill, so it would be better to give it to someone else. The skill book, which was still stored as a system rewards, can only be used once. Looking at the time, Victor realized that he was here for 3 hours, so he quickly grabbed the spear, 2 daggers, 1 sword and a necklace. Then flicked his hand, making them disappear into thin air with a grin. This thing is really convenient, he thought. Ellipsis. When Victor reached the top floor, Hilda was waiting for him near the stairs. Young master, the girls are ready to meet you, she said, giving him a strange look while wondering if he would also sleep with those girls. Victor smiled and nodded his head. He really enjoyed his bad reputation. That's how he wanted people to see him. Exposing a fake weak point is never a bad strategy. Hilda's opinion of him needs to be improved though. But that would easily happen over time, once she gets to know him well. Hilda, I talked to my father, from now on you are mine. He said as he took his token, then pointed it to Hilda. The family crest on her neck flashed, indicating the success of the transfer. So Victor quickly used his token to make the crest invisible. Hilda has met her master, she said as she bowed down respectfully. She has long expected this to happen. And it is better this way, as she can stay with the twins. No need for formalities and call me young master like usual, he said as he headed to the dining room. The girls were standing there with anxious looks on their faces. And when they saw Victor with his gray-purple hair, they quickly gathered to hug each other while shaking in fear. Lily and the twins were surprised by their reaction, as they had already assured them that this young master was really good. But Victor understood their dilemma, his look reminded them of Titus. That bastard must have been their nightmare. Lena must have forgotten to tell them that he and Titus are from the same family. The girls were now regretting not escaping earlier. They should have taken the other choice. Don't be afraid, although I belong to the same family as Titus, I am not him, and I have never liked him. Now stand straight and let me inspect you, he said in a soft voice as he sat down with his back at the table. The girls didn't dare disobey, so they slowly separated from each other and stood straight. They still shook a little though. Victor inspected them slowly. They were very pretty, with the same degree of beauty as the twins. About 11% on the Lily scale, which compares their beauty to Lily's. They seemed to have bathed and they were wearing similar simple sleeveless white dresses. So he could see that their arms and legs had traces of some bruise marks, but nothing serious. This must be Titus's handiwork. But he seemed to have kept his hand, not wanting to ruin the merchandise. They were all still virgins. The girls were getting nervous as they observed Victor's gaze on them. It didn't leave an inch of their body without inspection. Don't worry, Lily told me that she promised that you want to stay together, and her promise is as good as mine, so relax. I will not hurt you like Titus. Now report your names and ages, he said with a soft smile, making the girls relax a little bit. He looked really charming. One by one they began to tell their symbolic names while Victor activated his admin appraisal skill to inspect them. After the upgrade, it can work on the unawakened, but it will not reveal much information. Beta, STR9, Int 19, Luck 8, Charm 19, Fate, D+ Rising. Bloodline, Gamma, STR8, Int 18, Luck 7, Charm 18, Fate, C Rising. Bloodline, Delta, STR11, Int 17, Luck 10, Charm 19, Fate, D Rising. Bloodline, Epsilon, STR8, Int 16, Luck 9, Charm 21, Fate, D Rising. Bloodline, Zeta, STR7, Int 18, Luck 9, Charm 17, Fate, D Rising. Bloodline, Eta, STR7, Int 23, Luck 10, Charm 20, Fate, C Rising. Bloodline, Theta, STR7, Int 18, Luck 61, Charm 20, Fate, C Rising. Bloodline, Beta was the oldest, being 1 year older than Victor, while Theta the youngest was 2 years younger. And all of them have some unique bloodline. That's why they were kept as premium goods. All of them had weak bodies, but that status is pretty good for girls that were locked up. They have a high intelligence status though. This means that they can be educated pretty quickly, and this is a good thing. Victor slowly stood up and approached Theta, the youngest, and inspected her carefully, making her shake in fear. Victor slowly put his hand and gently patted her hair during her. This girl was very interesting. Her luck was off the charts. Even Tom, a scion, only had 30 luck, and as far as he knew, the luck attribute after 50 is very hard to rise. She must have some super rare bloodline. Sadly, he does not have a measuring device. Those things are pretty expensive even for him, as they are only sold in mega auctions in exchange for coins. The system shop does not have those things. The only things that can be purchased at all times are the healing pills, dispelling talismans, and items that players might need at a dungeon. The other things like skill books, materials, and artifacts are randomly allocated in limited quality and get refilled or changed every 24 hours. Do not be afraid. I wanted to ask you about your real names. Not those symbols, he said as he turned to face Beta. She seemed to be their leader. Why, young master, we have long forgotten our old names, we chose to keep those names. Our parents sold and abandoned us, so we don't need the names they gave us. She said. Oh, then what are your father's and mother's names, what do they look like, where are you from? He asked. I don't remember. Beta said, with a little shock. She never thought of that before, why can't she remember? The girls were the same, their faces turned white in shock. It's okay, what is the earliest thing you remember? Think slowly, he said slowly. It was Master Titus. And Master Baron, she said slowly with a frown that quickly disappeared when Victor flicked her between her eyes. Don't call them Master. From now on, just call them Dog and Pig. I am your only young master here, he said arrogantly, making the girls smile a little as they nodded their heads. They would love to call those bastards by those names. Your memories were erased by Titus. And that's the reason you don't remember, he said, making the girl gasp in shock, then slowly realize that he was telling the truth. They looked at each other and nodded. It's true, all of them are the same. What kind of magic is this? Don't worry, from now on you will create new memories, happy ones. And I will try my best to find a way to return your memories, he said with a smile, making the distressed girls feel a little warm. Sadly, Victor had no way of returning their memories right now. Such a process is not always guaranteed, but usually, the memories would slowly return after those with erased memories become players. It takes time though. Lily watched their interaction with Victor while smiling. Her young master knows everything. As for the twins, they were a little shocked and felt that they were lucky they fell into Hilda's hands. But who between them would stay with the young master? Did they really want to leave? The young master has been very good to them. And what would they do if they left? Is Tom really worth it? They wondered. After seeing the recording, they affirmed what the young master told them, that man was a real pervert. They can still be friends, but they would never let him touch them with his filthy hands. Chapter 75, Alpha. The girls took some time to calm down after realizing they didn't have memories of the past. Titus made sure they would not think about such things by making them dread the thought of the evil parents who sold them. You have a beta, why no alpha? Victor, who was leisurely sitting on his chair, suddenly asked. Ah, Alpha was our big sister. She is no more, Beta said after some hesitation as tears filled her pretty eyes. What happened? He curiously asked. We tried to escape 6 months ago. But we were caught, but she used an opportunity to try and kill Dog but only succeeded in injuring him. And that Baron, Pig suddenly appeared out of nowhere and struck her from behind. They tied her down as Dog. He raped her in front of us for a whole night while torturing her, scaring her beautiful face slowly with his dagger, before slitting her throat after he finished. Saying that she can't be sold anymore. Beta said as tears slowly fell from her eyes as she sobbed. The Grits were crying too. Okay, stop crying. You should live in her stead and avenge her. Don't worry, Titus is being punished right now, and Baron will follow him soon. Victor said, appeasing them. He wanted to kill Baron himself to tie all loose ends, but that guy, despite his overweight and chubby appearance, is very strong. He was George's rival when they were young. Victor patiently waited for the girls to calm down while sipping a cup of coffee that Lily gave him. Now I will give you a choice again. You can stay here and serve me, and I promise to consider you my family. Or you can leave through that door, and I won't stop you. I might even give you some money, you grabbed a lot of it from the mansion. But I will warn you now, I will have to erase your memories again because you would be haunted by the one behind Titus, and I don't want you to reveal anything about me. He lied, as he had no way to erase memories right now. And if they leave, he would have to send them to a very faraway place if he wanted to save them. The girls looked at him with shock. He is giving them the choice again after seeing their beauty. If he is telling the truth, he might be just like what Miss Lily said. A really good young master. They thought. We will serve the young master, said Beta as she bowed down, followed by the other girls. All of them were very smart and have realized that if they escaped now, their end would not be good. Good. Now don't resist, this will not hurt, said Victor as he took out the ring of minor masters and began to activate it on them one by one. While being curious about the first 41 slots used in the ring. He must go find where Nick hid his slaves. Knowing Nick, they are probably pretty girls too, Victor thought as he chuckled, making the girls a little scared. Titus didn't have much treasure, and he didn't tattoo them as they were meant to be sold. So the process was pretty straightforward. Too bad the ring only worked on non-players. After finishing, he sat down again and looked at the girls, who were a lot more relaxed. They didn't know what this ring did. But what's the worst that could happen? Now, I must ask, what skills do you have? He asked, making the girls hesitate a little. T2. Dog had trained us in the arts of pleasing men, Beta said as a blush appeared on her face. I already know, and I am not asking about those, stupid. I want to know what grade in school you are in. Can you sing, dance, or use weapons? He asked with a smile as he began to inspect the girls' bodies with a hot gaze, making them regret their choice again. Young master, Hilda intervened after seeing that the girls were a little embarrassed. The girls only know perverted arts. But they can read and write and do mathematics, she said, as she had already questioned them when they arrived. Oh, do you remember those? Victor didn't expect Titus to spare such memories. No, big sister Alpha taught us secretly. Beta said, making Victor really surprised. Was Alpha a player, or did she have some unique bloodline? Too bad that Titus killed her. What an idiot, wasting talent. Okay then, from now on I will give you 1 year to learn all the basic knowledge that a girl your age must know. I want you all to attend school next year, he said, making them pleasantly surprised. They didn't expect such treatment. Don't laugh yet, it will not be easy. Hilda will also teach you martial art, spying arts, and how to use weapons starting tomorrow morning. He said as he looked at Hilda, who nodded her head. She can teach them the basics. She already began to teach the twins such things. The girls nodded their heads in excitement, not knowing that they would be so tired tomorrow that they would not be able to move their arms. And Hilda, tell them about the family protocol and inform them about the world's truth. They are a part of our family from now on, he said, making the girls a little puzzled, and Hilda surprised. She quickly nodded as she had understood his aim. He wants to make them his agents. How did you arrange the girls' lodging? I heard that you took them to that building. Victor asked Hilda, who blushed a little. At first, she thought that Victor was intending to make them serve him in bed, so she took them there so that their actions would be far away from any prying eyes. Victor saw her hesitant look and laughed, making her more embarrassed. The girls didn't get what he was laughing about. The girls are arranged two in a room, only Theta would have a full room for herself. That building has many rooms. But I thought it would be better this way. Hilda, who got herself together, said, as Victor looked at Theta, who got a little embarrassed and lowered her head. What a lucky girl, he should take her to a casino for a spin. Oh, transfer them to the servants' building, I want them to be near you so you would be able to teach them. He said, understood. Hilda nodded. Now where is Alex, why don't I see him? Victor looked around and asked. I made him watch over the pot in the kitchen. The dinner is almost ready, does the young master want to eat now? She asked. Yes, and you girls too, grab a seat and sit down. We will eat together today, he said with a smile. Soon the girls were seated at the long table, with Victor and Lily at the table's head. The twins walked in with Alex and started to arrange the dishes, and the table was set soon. Alex, you stand behind young Master Victor and serve him. Butlers should eat after their masters. Hilda sternly told poor Alex, who was about to sit down. Alex could only stand reluctantly behind Victor, who smiled but said nothing. He needs to make it a little hard for her, he thought as he began to eat. The food was good, but after tasting Luna's cooking everything became tasteless. He should go there more for a meal, as Luna would have to go to the island after giving birth. Her child would be a full-fledged heir. Mana, did you make up your mind about our agreement? Victor suddenly asked, making the twins stop eating and look at each other. Mina hesitated and was about to answer when Mana stopped her by placing her hand on her sister's. Young master, give us 1 more day, she pleaded. Fine, but the more of my secrets you know, the more dangerous your situation would become after leaving me. Remember that, he said with a smile as he continued eating. He underestimates Tom's effect on them, but that is to be expected as fate seems to be in play here. The girls seem to be still a little hesitant after seeing Tom's recording. He is sure that they would turn to his side, but it would take some time. Thankfully he got them before Tom confessed to them, or their situation would have been hopeless. Taking food from a scion's plate is hard but possible, taking it from his mouth is plain suicide. Victor, who was a little upset, didn't realize that the girls had already made their decision to be his, but Mana felt that if they told him now, he would make them sleep with him tonight, and she felt that Lily, who truly missed him, was the one who should do that. Suddenly Victor stopped eating after thinking about Tom. What is that idiot doing? He yelled, then put down the fork and closed his eyes as if he was meditating, making the girl wonder. What's wrong? What a shit luck, Victor said as he stood up, making the girls look at him in shock. What's going on? Alex, follow me, we have a night mission, he said after looking at Lily, then at Alex. He then approached Lily, who was surprised, and hugged her while whispering in her ear. I am going on a mission, I may only return after a few days and will be out of reach. You take care of yourself, and the girls, and don't worry about me, he said, before looking at Hilda. I will go diving with Alex for a couple of days. Take care of the girls and the mansion, he said as he quickly headed outside the mansion, followed by Alex, who looked at the table full of food with regret. He had not eaten anything since lunch, and George didn't let him eat much. Lily didn't understand where he was going, she just looked at him leaving with worry in her eyes. The twins did too, while the girls looked at each other with questioning looks. Did they just leave the perverted young master grasp, to fall into the crazy young master's hands? Victor hastily activated his disguise skill and led Alex through the front gate, where the guard was napping on his chair. Victor had the urge to strangle this guard and finish him off. This idiot was really getting on his nerves. The report Baron submitted at the station contained all the witnesses' statements. And this shitty guard told them everything. And added that when he informed Victor that Nick was in the mansion, he had a clear murderous look in his eyes. This was the truth, but did this idiot have to say that? Can't he cover for his young master a little bit? He seemed to have assumed that Victor was finished, and was trying to please his new master. I will kill you later, thought Victor as he remembered that Alex, who didn't realize that her presence was disguised, was with him now. Victor led Alex till they reached the main street. Then started walking in a certain direction, getting far from the mansion to hide his trace, while Alex was wondering where they were going. 15 minutes later, Victor found a suitable car parked at the roadside, so he quickly approached it, and easily used his phone to hack its security system, then borrowed it and drove off in a hurry. All the while cursing that he needed to buy a car for himself. Alex, who was sitting beside him, looked at him wondering what was going on with his young master. Our mission should be kept a secret, so I had to take an unmarked car, Victor explained. Ah, I understand, she replied as her stomach began to growl, making her blush a little. Didn't you eat lunch? Victor asked her. Only a little, she replied, only to be surprised by Victor's handing her some mushroom that she didn't know where he got it from. Eat this, he ordered. Alex slowly took it and smelled it. It was not that appetizing. Can this be eaten raw? Young master, are you sure this is safe? She asked. Yes, completely, but you have to eat it in one bite and swallow it quickly, he said. She nodded, then put it in her mouth and bit it to be welcomed by the foulest flavor she had ever tasted. If you spit it out or throw up, I will let you eat it all again. So you better swallow it all, Victor warned sternly as he continued to drive without even looking at poor Alex, who was holding her mouth with her palms and trying hard not to throw up. What the hell is this? She thought as tears welled in her eyes. This was disgusting. She felt like someone had just defecated on every cell on her tongue. She forced herself to swallow the last of it, as she felt that Victor was not bluffing. Why was he bullying her like this? She wanted to cry as she wondered. A bottle of juice suddenly appeared in front of her. Drink this, it will help you a little, he said softly as he gave her the bottle. Why did you let me eat that thing, young master? She asked with tears on her cheeks as she slowly sipped the juice. You no longer feel the need to eat now, right? He said with a smirk. Yes, I feel so disgusted that I lost all my appetite, she said with a nod, feeling that she was getting bullied. It's not that, this thing is an otherworldly herb. If you eat on, you no longer have to eat for an entire week. I got it in a dungeon, he explained, making Alex suddenly get it. True, she no longer feels tired or hungry. You should have told me before, or at least warned me, she complained in her heart. Where are we going now, young master? What did you mean when you said diving earlier? She asked as she noticed that they were driving on one dirt road after another. Dungeon diving, he said with a smirk. Chapter 76, Thief. The night had just begun when a sneaky thief made his way through the woods to the empty mansion. He was cautious and made sure that there were no guards in the premises before entering through the secret entrance to be welcomed by a desolate ruin. The thief was so shocked that he dropped the sacks he was carrying as he looked at what remained of the building that had been standing tall this morning. It had turned into a pile of rubble. What happened? He wondered, as he began to inspect the surroundings carefully. He has been waiting all afternoon to return here and grab all that money. He even borrowed a truck for the job. Damn it, where is the money? He yelled as he kicked one fallen stone with all his strength, hitting a broken wall and shattering it into pieces. Tom was very angry at the moment. This was supposed to be his breakthrough. With the money he was supposed to get here, he planned to build a palace to house his parents and all his new wives. So it was you who was here this morning? A man said from behind him, then coughed a little. So what? Said Tom arrogantly as he turned around, to see a very fat man approaching him from afar. He was covered in dirt and blood, looking at him with eyes full of hatred. His left hand seemed to be broken, and his left leg had a little limp. The entirety of his left side was heavily burnt. In fact, smoke was still rising from his scorched skin. He looked like he had just come out from under the rubble. Tom frowned a little as he felt some threat. He wondered if he should fight or flee. The answer to that question was obvious. He never flees. He quickly found a stone on the floor and kicked it toward the man, who, to Tom's astonishment, just grabbed it with his hand and threw it away. As if Tom was a toddler throwing a ball at an adult. Urgent system notice. Lethal danger. Are you an idiot? Run for your life or die. Seeing the notice, Tom frowned as he looked at it, then at the man who was approaching him, just as something clicked in his mind. I am screwed, he thought as he realized that this man was way beyond his level. He quickly turned around and escaped through the small secret entrance as the man quickly chased him at a superhuman speed. Tom was able to go through the gate, just as the man reached it and tried to grab Tom, but was not able to reach him or follow as the small secret gate was too small for him. The fat man glared at Tom, then quickly turned around and started running towards the front gate. Tom cursed as he began to run into the dense woods, hoping that the man was too fat to pass through the trees. He parked his pickup truck far away on the other side and walked here on foot to avoid suspicion. He now regrets it. He should not have been too greedy. Returning here was a mistake. Tom ran between the trees using his full speed as this night had a full moon, and as a player with enhanced senses, he could see the path clearly. Suddenly he heard the sound of trees falling behind him, so he turned around a little to see that the fat man was still after him. He was breaking the trees, smashing into them as if they were little twigs. What the hell is his class? A tank, Tom thought, as he desperately tried to increase his speed only to discover that the ground under his right foot had just disappeared. He was on the edge of a deep dark gorge that he failed to notice because it was hidden behind the bushes. He quickly grabbed a tree branch to his side as he tried hard to pull himself back, but it didn't help. He was running so fast that he had too much inertia. The branch gave in and broke in his hand, making Tom lose what was left of his balance and fall into the deep gorge with a loud curse. Ellipsis. Baron stood at the gorge's side and frowned. He was standing here for the last hour. This place's bottom was very deep and the path down was very dangerous. He explored it before as it was too close to the mansion. The dried riverbed below only had dried bones and dead trees. Titus usually threw dead bodies in here. It was very convenient, and no one would ever come to this place. That thief was probably dead by now, but he can't be sure. And he needs the body to present it to his masters. Master, we found that guy's vehicle. It was stolen this afternoon, so we couldn't identify his identity through it. And we also found the sacks he was carrying. They were just industrial leftovers that can't be traced back, said a man in black that appeared silently by his side. Send a team down there, and look for his corpse. Don't return until you find it, said Baron. Did you investigate the cameras? He added. This guy came through the woods, Master, and the mansion has no more working cameras. The man said, I am not talking about him, idiot. I am asking about this morning. Is there a recording of what happened? Don't you remember what I told you on the phone? Yelled Baron, as his patience had already been exhausted hours ago. Whoever planned that grenade was too mean. They rigged the entire basement, and purposely placed the bombs on the structural beams and columns. When he opened the safe and triggered the grenade, the 10 other bombs that were connected to a shock sensor exploded, destroying the major beams in the building and collapsing the entire building. This was all his fault. Those bombs were the ones he kept here to hide from the family's eyes. And just as he was able to dig himself out, he found a little thief who was sniffing around, and yet despite all his strength, he failed to catch him. Now, he felt ashamed. A top player like him, who was one of the world's best 1,000, failed again. And again like this. But he was too anxious about the goods at that time and didn't think that anyone had the audacity to do such a thing. And he was too hurt now. Those guys from the von Geldstadt family will demand answers, and he better have them. Ah, yes, said the man as sweat slowly fell from his bald head. Young Master Titus has ordered all the cameras around the mansion to be dismantled and replaced with ones connected to the mansion, that included the traffic cameras, as he didn't want anyone sniffing around here. And as you know, Master, the mansion has just been destroyed, and the recordings were stored in the monitoring room. The man said. Then we just have to dig them out, although I doubt whoever did this left us much evidence. How long did George stay here? Did you figure it out? Baron asked. We calculated the time using the footage of the nearest camera on the highway. We spotted his car heading to the mansion, then calculated the time until it appeared again. And after adding the road distance from there, we figured out that he should have only stayed for 25 minutes. Said the man, making Baron frown. Such a time frame is not enough to empty the vault and rig the entire basement. They would need at least 7 hours if they had 3 trained men. He wondered if Theodore was behind this. Or was it a third party fishing in troubled water? No matter what, he had to figure out who did it. He has to retrieve the goods and hold the auction on time after 1 week. If not, his head would not have a neck to rest on. Chapter 77, Spider's Den. A few hours later, Victor parked the car on an abandoned dirt road and stepped down, followed by Alex, who still didn't comprehend what was going on. Why did the young master suddenly decide to go to a dungeon at this hour? And where would he find one? Victor didn't tell her anything. Victor slowly took out a bone necklace from somewhere and wore it around his neck. Then, under Alex's surprised gaze, a golden spear appeared in his hand, which he threw at her. Use this, you can't use your fists in this dungeon, he said. Alex looked at the spear in her hand, then at Victor as she noticed the unmarked ring on his finger. You have a storage ring, she shouted in shock. Even her late father didn't have one of those. Yeah, I got it from a recent dungeon. Don't tell anyone, Victor said. This ring was one of the trophies he got from the reward room. The other two were the sword he gave Tom and an elixir. Do you know how to use that thing? He asked her, waking her from her shock. No, she answered. The next moment an ethereal book appeared in front of Victor and shot toward her head. It was the Spear Arts skill book. Victor was contemplating how to use it or sell it, but he can't leave Alex defenseless in this kind of dungeon that required mid to long range weapons. She knew exactly what this was, so she quickly closed her eyes and comprehended the skill. It took her 5 minutes before she stood up again and began to test her new skill with the spear in her arm. We don't have time for that now, Victor said as he looked at her with a frown. As he lamented that she was now wearing a butler uniform that Hilda got her from somewhere. It was not very good in a dungeon. But family-issued servants' uniforms are very resistant usually, so this will have to do. And he did not have an additional sleeping bag to give her, as he forgot to bring one as he was in a hurry here. But they can't wait. In the morning Baron is sure to have surrounded this place with a detection formation. And if he waited a few more days for things to cool down, the dungeon would have been long cleared when he reached it. Let's go, he said and began to head towards the gorge carefully from the woods. Damn it, we were too late, thought Victor as he noticed a few guards. Be careful, I am now using a disguise skill to hide my presence. There are sentries all around us. So stick close to me and lower your voice, Victor warned as he grabbed Alex's hand to guide her. Alex was a little surprised by the mention of a disguise skill, but quickly forgot about it as a faint blush appeared on her face. This was the first time she held hands with someone like this. After walking for a while and avoiding a few patrols, they reached the place where Tom fell. The place had only 2 lazy guards as they didn't expect anyone would reach here. Victor sighed in relief. It seems that Baron didn't have time to deploy a formation yet, he thought as he carefully approached the cliff. It should be here, be careful, whispered Victor. What is here? Alex asked absent-mindedly. She was busy watching the guards, who were on their patrol nearby, completely ignoring them. She was now convinced that her young master had some kind of a strong stealth skill. The dungeon. Now we will have to jump in, he said as he looked down into the abyss. What, jump in there? Asked Alex with shock. Lower your voice. Yes. Didn't you enter a dungeon before? He asked. I did, 3 times, but they had a gate on the ground. Can I not go? Alex asked nervously as he wondered how deep was this gorge. The gate is hidden in midair. Don't you want to level up? I came here specifically for you. If I knew that you were just a coward I would have brought Lily. It's my fault for thinking that you are a real man, said Victor. I am not a coward, she said while complaining silently that she was not a man, to begin with. It's just I don't see any gates. Can't we just use a rope? She added reasonably as she looked down. No, first, I don't have one. Second, the gate is a little far from the gorge's wall, so we would still need to jump, he said as he put his hand around her slender waist. Don't worry, you will not jump by yourself. Victor, who was losing patience, quickly grabbed Alex in a princess carry and jumped, as he felt that staying there for a long time was dangerous. Alex screamed, grabbing hard on Victor's clothes and closing her eyes as she felt weightless. Am I going to die like this? She wondered. The next thing she felt was the floor hitting her butt, because Victor, who was carrying, was sent to another place by the dungeon. She slowly stood up using the spear and looked at the system announcement. Welcome to the Spider's Den dungeon. E rank. Clearing conditions. Kill the Black Widow. S. Spiders. Alex yelled, forgetting her injured butt as she read the words. Her pretty face slowly turned white in fright. Ellipsis. Victor slowly descended into the dungeon. After appearing in midair a few feet over the ground, He quickly activated the levitation necklace he wore and glided gracefully to the ground. This was one of the toys Lily got him. Not bad, he said after his legs touched the ground. After dismissing the dungeon's introduction screen which he already knew, he began to look around him. This dungeon was like a deep ravine's floor, with steep walls going up to the sky, where what appeared to be purple miasma created a curtain. Victor didn't know what it was, but he could easily tell that it was nothing good. The cliff sides were full of holes big and small. The spiders probably made them. He quickly made sure that his disguise skill was still active, then checked on Tom's situation. He was the reason Victor found this place. Tom as a scion had some kind of shit luck. When he ran away from Baron and fell into the gorge, he happened to fall right into an open dungeon gate. Victor estimated that the gate was not that big, so he jumped from the exact spot where Tom fell. Victor never heard that there was a dungeon here. So using his connection with Tom, he read the dungeon's introduction and checked its situation, realizing that it was E-ranked. A little hard for his level, but not impossible if he left the boss to Tom. So he brought Alex to level her up and make her a little useful. But that will have to wait until the rewards stage when the dungeon is cleared. He didn't want to bring Lily of the twins to avoid making them meet with Tom, as that would make him raise a lot of questions. And it is better to keep them with the girls who wouldn't be able to enter here and would crash into the gorge's floor because this was an open dungeon and only players can get in. Tom was now killing some giant spiders with his flaming sword, and seemed to be excited rather than scared. However, Victor could feel his location and it was quite far from here, which was quite convenient as he didn't want to meet him. Victor ignored Tom and began to check on Alex, who he was a little worried about. Indeed, she was running in random directions like a headless chicken. And from the look of it, she was being chased by some spiders. Is she an idiot or arachnophobic? He wondered, before he began to walk in her direction. This stupid girl can't be left alone without bringing disaster onto herself. He thought. He could feel that he was about an hour's walk from her. But sadly he didn't have a map this time, as he was not the first one who discovered this place. So it might take longer to reach her. The spiders began to appear soon after he started walking, as they have felt something fall here. They were small, the size of a palm. They kept scurrying around looking for prey as Victor ignored them and continued to walk, while avoiding the spiders whose numbers kept increasing. Soon, Victor made a mistake by stepping on one of them. Although his disguise would hide him from their senses, it can't mask the poor dead spider from its partner who was beside him at that tragic moment. Maybe discussing their working conditions, and proposing unionization. The sound of spider screeches echoed in the valley. Those guys had a loud voice, despite their tiny bodies. Victor quickly stepped away to only step on another one. The spiders followed the sound and began to surround him, searching for the hidden enemy that they soon found as a few spiders got on his boot by chance and began to bite on it and invited others who began to climb his pants. Shit, he yelled as he kicked them away and activated his necklace, to be levitated a few feet while kicking around. Then took out a sword from his ring and began to hack at them until his clothes were a little ripped, but spider-free. With that, he slowly floated away like a ghost while cursing at the spiders. In normal dungeons, in order to rest, a cavern with cobwebs is usually preferable, as it would usually be abandoned and contained no monsters. But in a spider-infested dungeon, you have to search for somewhere without cobwebs, and that was a very hard job. Those spiders were everywhere. It was half an hour later when Victor, who was a little tired, found a good place to rest. He sat down on a high ledge protruding from the gorge's wall and started inspecting his gears. Thankfully, he was still wearing the thick cloth he wore at the goblin's dungeon, as he had no time to change, so his skin was intact. He quickly activated his merchant skill and bought a poison antidote pill pack. He was not bit now, but just in case. This placed difficulty was beyond his expectation. He felt that he was making Tom's mistake of being overconfident with his skills after some successes. He needed to be more careful. He reminded himself. Checking on Alex, Victor discovered that she was still running away with tears in her eyes as a horde of spiders of all sizes was chasing her. Being here might have been a mistake, and he had to hurry and get to her, or that girl would break down before long. But before that, he had to rest. Floating using the necklace has drained all his energy. So he slowly laid on his back and observed the miasma-filled sky to be welcomed by a big surprise. His identification skill was now working on it as he was close enough. This is interesting, he said with an evil grin. Sadly, little Alex will have to wait for a little bit. There are more important things at hand. Chapter 78, Bloodline. Soul-corroding miasma. Poison. Rank SSS. The appraisal skill confirmed Victor's thoughts. This thing is a poisonous gas that he has heard of in his previous life. It does not affect the body, but just the soul. Discovering and curing it is a very hard job. This thing was super rare, and Victor once heard of a good way to get gas-based poisons. He quickly took one of his daggers and a rope, then created a hoop at it with a piece of the rope and passed the rest of the rope through it, creating a pulley mechanism. He then threw the dagger with all his strength using the dagger throw skill and made it go through the miasma and get stuck high into the gorge's wall. He quickly took 9 of the 10 water bottles he had in his ring and uncapped them, then tied them to the end of the rope in a way that they would not tip over. Then began to carefully pull them up using the other end of the rope. He was going to make the water in them absorb the miasma to turn it into a poison. He had a 50% chance of success. Soul-corroding poison. Rank F. His plan worked, as, after a few seconds, one of the bottles could be identified as a poison by the system. Victor sighed as he lamented not bringing more bottles with him. He carefully tied the other end of the rope with a bone dagger that he stuck to the wall near him. He got a lot of those from the goblins. This would take some time and he needed to check on Alex, so he used his disguise skill to hide his setup as he began to descend, heading to where Alex was. He didn't want to talk to her using the system, as that would make her realize that he was spying on her. If she realized that she was completely his toy, she might get very depressed or even break, and he didn't want that to happen. It took him another hour to reach her, as the gorge had many branches and some of them were dead ends. She was faring much better than he expected. The spiders around her were decreasing at a visible speed under her spear skills. She decided to fight at last. Although she still had tears in her eyes and was wailing every time she killed one. The poor spider under your spear should be the one making that voice, not you, thought Victor as he kept watching in silence for 5 minutes before deciding to help her in secret. He quickly began to kill the spiders from the back, using Alex was collecting aggro as a tank. Finally, no living spider was left. It took them 2 hours to kill them all. Alex collapsed on the ground in exhaustion after clearing the area, but at that moment, a spider that was camouflaged in the rocks attacked her from her blind spot. Alex quickly attacked it with her spear, but she was too late. The spider's fangs bit through her tender neck in a flash. Or that's what she thought. The spider stopped a mere inch from her and collapsed with a dagger embedded in its back. You should be more careful next time. Always survey your environment before resting, said Victor, who appeared out of thin air and walked to her side, then used a bone dagger in his hand to stab the spider in its head before taking the first one out. This thing was only paralyzed, not dead. Alex jumped and hugged Victor without uttering a word. She began to cry as she embedded her face in his chest. She really feared spiders since she was a child, and the boys in the sect locked her in a warehouse full of spiders as a prank. She was shaking in Victor's arms as she sobbed. It took her great courage to fight them, especially the big ones. They were the size of horses, and had those horrible legs and multiple menacing eyes. Victor hugged her as he slowly patted her short silky hair with his hand, making her feel a strange sense of warmth that she never knew. Victor felt as if he was in this situation before. Yes, Margaret did the same thing. Are you going to hang on my clothes for long? Do you know that a pretty girl cried on this very same shirt 2 days ago? I know that I have that effect on girls, but you should pull yourself together, you are a man, said Victor after 5 minutes, making Alex, who was absorbed in his embarrassment, wake up. She quickly stepped back, letting go of his shirt, and turned around to hide her blushing face. Bastard, she said as she began to walk away, wanting to escape. Idiot, where are you going? Do you want to be eaten by spiders? Rest a bit here, while I go to collect the gems, Victor said, making Alex stop and look around to remember that she was still at the dungeon. So she quickly found a corner to sit down and recover her stamina while watching Victor, who was professionally going from one spider remains to another, collecting gems. Those things are useless. Only the big ones have red gems, said Victor as he collected everything here, then pocketed them. How did you know about this dungeon? Asked Alex as she saw Victor sit down next to her. That's a secret, said Victor as he cleaned his daggers with a rug. Alex didn't ask any further, as this guy told her nothing. But at least he brought her here to level up. What should we do next? In order to clear the dungeon and get out, we need to kill the Black Widow. Someone entered before us, and I will leave it to him. It is probably poisonous and I don't have the equipment required to take her down. Both of us are close to mid-range fighters, while such enemies require far-range and AoE attacks, said Victor, making Alex nod in understanding. The young master is really knowledgeable. Then do we sit and wait here? Asked Alex. She didn't want to fight those things anymore. No, but we have to be careful and only advance slowly. This is a rare chance to train. Victor said, meaning to train Alex, not himself. Ellipsis. The path in front of them was dimly lit by the strange light passing through the miasma. This place had no day-night cycle, so this was not sunlight. Victor had no way to confirm that though, as neither he nor his appraisal skill could pass through the thick poisonous gas layer. Victor and Alex continued to walk slowly while making sure to kill the spiders as they came. They didn't want to be surrounded. Alex was complaining at first, but slowly after killing the 1000th, her fear of spiders turned to pure hatred. She would not hold herself and dismantle any spider she lays her eyes onto. Victor enjoyed walking behind her to take care of the ones she didn't notice while giving her pointers every now and then. It was 2 hours later when Alex began to feel tired, so Victor decided to find some high ledge or a cavern to rest in. But he didn't need to. As what they suddenly found themselves in front of the building. It looked like a depleted temple, with spider carvings all over its wall. Stay vigilant, Victor instructed as he approached it and began to inspect it. Finding buildings in dungeons is not a strange thing, as those dungeons are just parts of other worlds that separated from their main world and made their way into this one to be encapsulated by its power. Like the goblin dungeon that was some goblin village in its native world. This temple was built of some kind of black stone, but the signs of destruction could be seen on it. Rare are buildings that survive cataclysmic events such as changing worlds. Victor was considering whether it would be safe to explore this ruin when he heard the sound of faint footsteps, and turned with Alex to face the expected enemy. What they saw was a strange barefooted girl coming out of the temple's half-destroyed gate. She had long blonde hair tied in a ponytail and a slightly scarred face. One of her eyes was covered by a piece of cloth. She was wearing rags and holding some kind of makeshift spear, probably made from a broken huge spider's leg, that had a shard of a broken blade embedded in it as its head. Is she the Black Widow? Alex asked stupidly. Idiot, the Black Widow is a spider. This one is human, Victor said as he flashed a charming smile at the girl. Intending to greet her. Hello, my name is Victor, might I inquire about your name? He said as he activated his appraisal skill, as the girl who said nothing and was just looked at Victor with hatred charged at him with her spear. Alpha, Louise von Richter. Level, 0. Abnormal status. Bloodline lock, approximately 90% locked. Class, Blood Warrior. Authority, 3. Strength, 65 650ths. Intelligence, 60 600ths. Agility, 77 770ths. Luck, 9 31sts. Charm, 12 40ths. Order, 10. Skills, Self-Heal, S. Blood Assimilation, S. Blood Sword, S. Survivor, S. Shadow Clone, A. Spear Arts, A. Sword Arts, A. Bow Arts, A. Staff Arts, A. Dagger Arts, B. Mountain Giant Palm, B. Quick Steps, B. Basic Charm, C. Poison Resistance, C. Paralyze Resistance, C. Burn Resistance, D. Instant Death Resistance, D. Augmented Senses, E. Wolf's Howl, E. Bronze Skin, E. Minor Metal Refining, F. Minor Medicine Brewing, F. Fate Status, A+. What the? Victor was really surprised, but he was barely able to read the information, before noticing that she has engaged with Alex, who quickly stood in her way to defend her young master. Alex, step back, you are not her opponent. He quickly shouted at Alex, but it was too late. Alpha has already struck her in her stomach, sending her into a faraway wall that collapsed over her body. Victor frowned but didn't get distracted. He could see through his screen that Alex is still alive. Scions are impossible to kill by normal players. Victor stepped back a little as he activated his disguise skill, hiding his true position. He was trying to find a chance to negotiate, assassinate or flee. This was not an enemy he could fight directly at the moment. Let me introduce myself again, I am Victor. Victor said, but was interrupted by the girl's clear voice. Von Weiss, I know. The purple hair says it all. She spat with hatred as she advanced towards him slowly, as if measuring his skills. You are Alpha, right? Beta already told me about you. I already saved her with the other. Why don't you drop your spear and let us talk peacefully? Victor said with a smile, as his real body that was walking around her took out his dagger. Oh, let me guess, you saved them by making them your slaves? She asked. Victor didn't answer. How much did you pay for them? Alpha said as her skin began to turn bronze. This girl was no idiot, as she already felt that something was wrong. It was their choice. Titus broke some family rules and had to go get spanked on the butt for being a naughty boy, Victor said while searching for an opening in her stance. He spotted a couple, but from his experience, he could easily tell that those were traps. Ah, so you scammed them. Did you take Titus's place? What next? Are you going to threaten me with their lives? She asked as she observed the false Victor with a frown. No, I am a gentleman. I promised the girls that I will let them go to school, and we will have a lot of fun together as a family. Victor said, you will not get a chance. She replied as she sprung into action, stabbing her spear at Victor's image, but she didn't expect her spear to pass through it, so she quickly looked back and defended, but it was too late. As Victor's paralyzing dagger stabbed her body. But nothing happened. The dagger fell to the ground as her body turned into clouds. Shit, shadow clone, said Victor as he looked around to realize it was too late. Alpha's spear was an inch from his head, so he quickly stepped back. He avoided the spear, but it still injured his face. He quickly stepped a few steps back, disguising his position as he took an antidote. He was not sure if that spear contained poison or not. What he didn't expect was that Alpha suddenly appeared in front of him and threw a net made of spider strings at him before striking him on the chest, sending him into an adjacent wall, where he laid there stuck in the web that has glued him to the stones. She looked around, making sure that there was nothing wrong, and then approached him leisurely. Now, what should we do with you, little Victor? She said with an ugly grin that her scarred face made uglier. How did you find my location? He asked as he prepared his next move. A secret, she said. You used the vibrations my foot made on the stone ground, didn't you? He said. He was not a fool, but he didn't expect someone her age to know this technique that took decades to learn by martial arts masters. Oh, you are smart. Maybe I could treat you the same way Titus treated me. Did you know what he did? He raped me for an entire night, disfigured me, then slit my throat like a coward. That idiot thought I was dead, but I had one breath left when he threw me in this valley to rot. But this gave me another chance to live. To get my revenge, she said with hatred. Aren't you afraid the spiders would follow the fighting noise here? He asked as he focused on breaking the web using his strength. This is a safe zone. Those guys never come here, she said, approaching him as her stomach suddenly growled, making her frown. Oh, you must have not eaten a good meal for 6 months then. How about I give you something delicious? He said as he prepared a grenade. He could already feel that the web was coming loose. True, spiders don't have many edible parts. So tonight, I will dine on a Von Weiss meat dish. I have never eaten a man before, so you should cooperate, okay? She said with an evil smile, making Victor feel that this girl was left alone a little too long. I am not that delicious, believe me, he said as he got things ready. The grenade's shock wave should render her unable to feel his foot's vibrations. But he should find a good place to throw it to. He can't risk his life in the process. As for Alex's life, that girl is a cockroach that won't die. Ah, that's not what I heard, Alpha said as she licked her pretty lips. There is a rumor that those who eat a Von Weiss with a complete bloodline will get their lifespan massively increased. It must be due to your elder dragon bloodline, she said as she raised her spear and looked at Victor's blood that stained its head. Victor was shocked that she knew this fact that even his family had no idea about. Looking at your blood, it is pure purple. A complete bloodline, she said. Then, to Victor's astonishment, she licked the spearhead in her hand, then raised her head in ecstasy as if she was enjoying a delicacy. The scars on her face began to heal fast, showing her true beauty. Blood ritual detected. Do you want to register a new blood slave? Yes, no, the system screen asked. Chapter 79, The Truth. Victor clicked yes and began to laugh loudly like a maniac, making Alpha look at him strangely. Did you lose your mind? I wonder if that would affect the taste. She wondered as she headed toward him, only to find that her legs didn't respond to her, neither did her hand. What's going on? She looked at her status screen, but it showed nothing strange. A poison? No. She looked at her spearhead, then at Victor. You have a blood enslavement skill, she said with hatred as she tried hard to move but couldn't. Victor took his time as he slowly untangled the net under her hateful glares. It's your fault for being an idiot. Who told you it was fine to taste my noble blood? He said as he walked toward her, then past her, heading to where Alex had fallen. He didn't forget to slap her butt though. Damn you, she screamed at him, but he ignored her and started to remove the rubble that had collapsed on top of Alex. To find that she seemed okay but unconscious. So he gently carried her and headed inside the ruined temple. Follow me, he ordered Alpha, who could only obey while cursing. Inside there was a big hall that connected a few stone-built rooms. So Victor found a suitable room and placed Alex on a tattered mat there and checked her for injuries, before returning to the hall where Alpha was still standing while glaring daggers at him. He slowly took out his folding chair and sat on it, then ordered Alpha to sit on the ground next to him. "Sit down, let's talk like civilized people this time," he said, while thinking if she could be considered civilized after trying to eat him. Alpha just sat down but said nothing. What kind of civilized people enslave others, she thought. "As I told you, your sisters are in my hands. I can kill them at any time," he said as he flashed the ring in his hand. "Do you know what this is?" Alpha didn't answer, but the astonished look in her eyes showed that she recognized it. She started glaring at him with hatred. Threatening like that would not work on her, it seemed. "Who taught you about the world, how to fight, and about the von Weiss's bloodline?" he asked. She didn't answer, just looked away. Victor sighed as he felt he had to use another method to make this girl talk. He began to inspect her slowly as he looked at her. Her ragged clothes didn't cover much of her pretty body. There were visible healing scars all over her hands and legs. And Victor could make out that many of them were spider bites. Her face was now much better as it healed a little. But he could tell that she was still missing an eye. This girl went through a lot, he thought as he looked at her true name. The system usually displays the name that an individual considers his real name. But Alpha had too. The second that was fading is Louise von Richter. She may have wanted to forget her real name. This explains a lot. She had been a player all along. As the von Richters are born players. And that also explains her crazy stats. From what he knew about her family, is that they are born players, and had monstrous stats. And on top of that their authority would automatically go up when they reach their level cap. But they also have downsides. They level up extremely slowly as they need 100 times the experience needed for a normal player. For one reason or another, her bloodline was locked, so she couldn't use her powers and was sold as a slave to Titus. Whose memory manipulation did not affect her. "Do you know your sister's original identities?" "Titus erased their memories, but yours seems intact," Victor said, trying to get her to open up from another angle. Alpha frowned, then shook her head. "When I met them their memories were already erased," she answered shortly, but Victor could see that. "I see," he said. "I wanted to ask you. Should I call you Alpha or Louise?" he asked, deciding to stop playing games. Alpha was shocked as she glared at him, with some fear in her eyes this time. "How did you know?" she asked. "A secret," he said with a smile. Making Alpha shoot him a glare, then starts to inspect him as if she was searching for an answer to her question. "You know that I can cause you unimaginable pain by a flick of my hand, right?" he asked. Alpha didn't answer. "Or I could turn you over to those guys. The council has a really big reward on any alive von Richter family members," he said. "You have to get out of this dungeon alive first," she spat at him. "Don't worry about that. There is a very capable warrior who is working on that," he said. "Have you ever heard of the term scion?" This time Alpha was scared. If a scion was clearing the dungeon, it was meant to be cleared. And if she goes out, she is doomed. Those guys would not let her die easily. They would use her for ages to integrate her family's bloodline into theirs. Victor could easily feel her distress. "I don't need to, but let's make a deal. I will hide you and help you get stronger. And maybe give you a chance for revenge. And in return, you would be my obedient servant," he said. He didn't like forcing people to serve him. All controlling mechanisms have solutions from soul locks to slaving artifacts. But if those girls truly follow him, he would fear nothing. Alpha looked at his eyes and could feel that he was honest, but she still didn't like him. "I don't care about those. Just promise that you won't do anything sexual to me or my sisters. And that you would let them have a normal life," she said sternly. She didn't care about herself. The moment she leaves the dungeon, she is dead. But she wanted to guarantee a better life for her sisters. "I will give them the choice about everything, and respect their choices," he said. She thought for a moment then nodded. She knew that he didn't need to promise her. But this shows that he had no malicious intent toward her. Victor slowly left his chair and sat on the ground beside her, looking her in the resolved eyes. "Now tell me, how did you know about the Elder Dragon bloodline?" She hesitated for a moment. Then asked, "Promise me another thing first. That you would never make anyone from the von Richter family your enemy." She said, "Not unless they became my enemies first," he added, making Alpha nod. "The reason I know all these things is because of a memory transfer that I went through when I was a child." she said as she watched Victor's reaction. Ah, so you were meant to continue the family's bloodline after its demise. That explains all the skills you had on level 0. He said. You have an appraisal skill, shouted Alpha in surprise as she pointed at him. No wonder he knew her real name. Yes, said Victor. He felt that he should expose some of his secrets to her to increase her trust. I was born 1 month before the family's destruction. Only a few of us were chosen. We were given all the family's knowledge through a memory crystal, and they used all the skill books stored in the family's treasury on us. Only me and the few other children were sent out accompanied by guardians to raise us and teach us. While the others stayed in the base and were burnt by the patriarch with everything else when the family fell. He didn't want anyone to fall into our enemies' hands. That's what the man who raised me said. She began to tell her story. It was all your family's fault. You were the ones who decided to conquer the world, said Victor. Lies, yelled Alpha emotionally. It was all a trap. A setup by Von Sui, she said, making Victor frown. He never heard of such things. It was an established fact that the Von Richter were the bad guys. But hearing the story from her side, made him think of things that he never considered. Do you know how they did it? As you may know, the Von Sui are also the enemies of my family. He asked in interest. Alpha nodded in acknowledgement. 20 years ago, on New Year's Eve, they activated an evil method to control some people in the family. Ordering a total of the 10th of my family's men to start a war for world conquest, and those were followed by some family factions that have always believed that we must rule the world. Another 10th who were sleeper agents for the Von Sui also began to use the family's powers to commit notorious acts. The patriarch and the surviving elders didn't expect that the family was penetrated to this degree. Their response came too little too late. They sent a message to the council clarifying things as they were pacifists. So the council sent inspectors to my family to assert their claims, but those guys were from the Von Sui family. They fabricated a report defaming us. And by the time everything became clear, the council had already condemned the family and ordered its destruction. They sent a campaign headed by the Von Sui family's patriarch himself. Former patriarch. A new one was chosen about a month ago. Victor stated. So you were sent outside before your families fell. Was the one who raised you also the one who taught you how to fight? And why are your stats locked? He asked. Yes, the council has developed a method to track our family members. So the patriarch locked all of the states for the ones escaping to make them avoid detection. The lock can only be released by some secret family agents that were hiding in the world. When I became an adult 5 years ago, the lock wavered for just a second, and they came an hour later. The one who raised me sacrificed his life to save me. After escaping, I was captured by other people though. The ones working for that pig baron, she said with a mix of sadness and hatred. Then why did your lock degrade to 90%? It was damaged when I entered the dungeon, as it tried to assert if I am a player or not. So now I am stuck. I can't leave here without being discovered. I can't even fully unlock it and fight for my life. And if what you said about a scion trying to clear the dungeon is true, then I am screwed. So I want you to keep your promises and to kill me if they ever came for me. She said with a little smile, as if she resolved herself to her destiny. Don't worry, I can use my power as your master to lock it again or fully bypass it. But when I open it, you must be by my side, as I would use my disguise skill to hide your bloodline. He said, making her eyes shine with a strange light, as if her will to fight has been ignited again. How was your family penetrated? And how did they control its members? Didn't you have protection formations or an Inquisition hall? He really wanted to know this, as he believed that his family was next. It was the evilest method you could think of. Do you know the family called the Von Rosen? Those guys had a lot of women, as men can't awaken as players using their method. They were just a second-rate family that had many women that lived near my family. So there were a lot of connected marriages between us. But those guys had been working for the Von Sui family since the beginning. They had that evil parasite that a woman would give to her husband on their wedding bed. It would sleep in his body for ages, waiting for the right moment to wake up and control his mind. The target would only live for 10 days after the activation, she said, making Victor feel a shiver going down his spine. If the Von Rosen had such a powerful tool, why don't they just rule the world instead of working for the Von Sui? He asked in fear. If he married Linda in his past life, he would have probably been infected by that parasite. The Von Rosen are weak by themselves as they only have one class of players, summoners. The one who plants the parasite must be a virgin. And she must nurture the parasite in her husband's body for a year before it is ready to be used. So they must plan for ages before implementing such a plan. Like what they did to my family. When they found out about this too late, so the… What? She was surprised as Victor began to laugh again. This time more crazily as he crawled on the ground and held his belly as he laughed, unable to stop. What's wrong with you? She asked while wondering if this guy was just some lunatic. I have a fiancé from the Von Rosen family. And she just cheated on me. He said as he laughed, making Alpha smile a little. That is really funny. That bitch would probably be cut and fed to the dogs if her family knew what she did. Chapter 80. Alex's Cousins. It was a little too late in the morning when Linda awoke to the gentle knocking on her room's door. What? She yelled in annoyance. She slept late last night after texting Bill till dawn. She was not in the mood to get out of bed. Miss, the madam is requesting your presence in her office. A maid said from behind the door, making Linda get up immediately. Never make mother wait. She was taught that the hard way. She quickly dressed up and went downstairs, to stand in front of her mother's office door. Come on in, said her mother's amused voice before she could knock. Good, my mother seems to be in a good mood, she said as she pushed the door open and went in. Her mother was sitting at her desk, browsing what appeared to be a stack of papers with great interest. Sit down, her mother said as Linda quickly found a suitable chair and sat down. I have great news, but our plans need to be adjusted, Amelia said. What plans? Asked Linda. Her family had so many plans that she began to lose count. About your fiancé. I was planning to assassinate him, said her mother, to be interrupted by Linda. Yeah, please do that quickly before school. Bill will be here in a month, said Linda cheerfully. Idiot, that's what I am talking about. No need for Bill anymore. Titus, that piece of sh*t has been lying to you. Von Weiss's monthly magazine is out. Victor has managed to be a full player in the ceremony. I don't know what authority and class he achieved, but Anne was so impressed by his performance that she granted him an elite heir status. Amelia said as she presented her daughter with a fancy magazine, which pages were turned to display a list of fancily written names. The first one was Victor von Weiss, who sat alone in his category of elite heirs. It also featured a recent photo of him on the opposite page. He was not like Linda remembered. Here he appeared confident, strong, and a little bit too handsome. Ah, Linda opened her mouth like a fish, not knowing what to say. Look at him, he is very handsome. This must be the effect of a high charm value or an awakened bloodline. If my guess is correct, Anne intends to grant him an important position in the future. Could it be one of Anne's schemes? Asked Linda as she continued to keep her eyes on Victor's photo. If she knew, she would not have had to approach the Titus. He was good in bed though. Impossible, Anne is being watched closely by the other factions. And wouldn't dare mess with the rules. If he was granted that rank, that means he deserved it. Too bad he couldn't be recommended for the next patriarch seat, as only one heir from each father is allowed to run. And his big brother is already a candidate. Ah, said Linda, not really understanding what her mother was speaking about. Now, you should find a chance to get close to Victor, Amelia said. But, what about Bill? Linda said. Bill is handsome too. Forget about him. You must not let Victor know that you have been seeing other guys behind him. She said. Ah, but I already promised Bill that I will be his girlfriend when we meet at school. I already sent him some private photos too, Linda said, making Amelia want to slap her. Her daughter was just too slutty. And that is why the matriarch didn't grant her an important rank in the family, despite her good performance in the ritual. Many family secrets require a high ranking to know about. No, there is a fantastic chance here, Amelia suddenly thought. Start ignoring Bill, then at the night before you go to school, send him a message that Victor is insisting on marrying you. And that you, as a traditional girl, can't see him ever again, Amelia said with an evil smile. But wouldn't that make him very angry? Linda asked. Exactly. Bill is the type who wouldn't care about consequences once he gets angry. He would probably challenge Victor to a life and death duel. No matter what happens next, it is our win, Amelia said. But my marriage would be ruined, Linda said. Not necessarily. If no one won or Victor killed Bill, you would still marry Victor. Bill started the fight and Victor will not be held responsible. And if Bill won and Victor died, I will propose that you should marry Victor's brother Mike, who will have the best chance of being the next patriarch after Bill gets kicked out of the family. Amelia said. Ah, but I don't like that Mike. He has a thing for prostitutes, said Linda, making up her mind that Bill was a lost cause anyway. We will talk about this later. The future is not certain, and I want to consult the matriarch, it's her decision. That's everything for now. You can leave, said Amelia as she returned to the report in her hand. I understand, can I take the magazine? Linda asked. Take it, I have another copy. Oh, I don't need to remind you. Make sure to keep your virginity. You can do whatever you want besides that, Amelia said as she watched her daughter leave the room in a hurry. Linda quickly took the magazine and went downstairs to the basement. Ellipsis. 3 men slowly walked towards the massive secluded mansion. A middle-aged man and 2 youths. They looked weird, as they were dressed in robes as if they came from a kung fu movie set. Are you sure he is here? Asked the middle-aged man. Yes, elder. The car drove him from the station to a restaurant then here directly. I kept watch from the other peak all night, and no one left. Who lives here? He asked. Just some rich young man with 4 maids, said the other young man. Good. Arrange the formation, and make sure not to screw up, said the elder to one man as he arrogantly walked toward the gate. Can I help you? Asked the guard who had just returned from the restroom, and was busy trying to close his stuck zipper when he saw the newcomers. I am looking for Alex, a pretty young man who came here yesterday. We are his cousins, the elder said arrogantly. Ah, I did see such a man. He was really pretty, but I can't let you in, this is private property, said the guard as he used his pinky to clean his ear. While wondering what's wrong with those guys' clothing. Did they come from the past or is this some kind of a prank? Whose mansion is this? Asked the elder as he watched his disciple who was laying a formation flag behind the guard. I shouldn't be telling you this, but this is Victor White's, the new CEO of Horizons Media Group. I can phone the mansion and ask if you can report your name. But I would be blamed if the master got angry, so I would need some persuasion, whispered the guard after looking around while making a pay me gesture with his hand. Oh, there would be no need, said the elder as he walked to the gate and pushed it open, breaking it with ease. The guard that was shocked quickly tried to phone Hilda, as he wondered what kind of superhumans are those. But his hand didn't move. His head did as it fell slowly to the ground. I forgot to close my zipper. Those were his last thoughts.